Feel like I should have done one of these a long time ago, but whatever. Welcome to a full day of eating while on prep. I'm going to keep track of the calories and the macros, of course, for you. And today is not a meal prepping or cooking day. I'm going to do a different full day of eating for that. But today we are going to be making use of all of the new meals, not all of them, 3 to be exact. I've got like a dozen in my freezer. But 3 of the meals that I have received from my new partner, HummusFit. I tried my first couple of them yesterday and they were freaking delicious. So I am extremely excited to eat those once again today. I like them because it's, it's low effort, super tasty, completely on plan. Excuse me. High protein, low carb, low fat. It's just all good. But I did not get any HummusFit breakfast items, so we are going to have my usual prep breakfast. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start by getting 40 grams of these oats, then we'll add 30 grams of blueberries and 20 grams of honey. I am allowed quite literally 1 small bite of peanut butter, so we'll take care of that. I've really found honey to kind of be not necessarily a lifesaver. I mean, I don't add it to every dish, obviously, but if you want something that is, just a ton of flavor for, all things considered, really negligible calories, most of the sauces that you're going to enjoy putting on your food are going to be way more calorically dense than this honey. And so I've found personally adding a little bit, especially when obviously make sure your coach is on board with it. But when you add just a little bit, especially to something like oatmeal, which can be so plain, especially when you're doing something like this and you're not getting the, super tasty maple brown sugar flavoring, or whatever. When you're not getting that, man, this stuff can be just hard to take down. And so to me, I have noticed adding a literally light drizzle, as you can see, not really squeezing that thing too hard. And I actually went under. To me, if I go under, most of the time I don't worry about it. The only time that I worry about adjusting the scale is if I go over my measurement. So I think I got 17 grams there instead of the usual 20. But that right there is the oatmeal. I've had my 1 scoop of peanut butter, and so other than this, I need 170 grams egg whites and 2 whole eggs. So let's get on to that. I actually changed my mind. We're gonna go ahead and eat this now because with the egg whites, I think that instead of eating the egg whites, we are actually going to make it into the protein custard that if you guys follow me on Instagram, you know the video that I'm talking about. It's at like 2.7 million views right now. But it is literally just like I think 3 ingredient egg. Although, you know what? I don't have skim milk with me right now, so we'll have to go get some from the store nearby. But minimal extra calories. And it just makes those egg whites so much easier to take down. So let's enjoy this oatmeal first. Honey's a game changer. All right. Well, my wife is actually going to run and grab the skim milk, so for now I'm actually going to go ahead and cook up my 2 whole eggs. Would highly recommend this 100% pure avocado oil spray. It is 0 calories. So it's going to help you not get things sticking to your pan, but you're not going to have to worry about a bunch of extra calories. Because let me tell you, bro, this stuff, nope, that's vinegar. This stuff, that'll add calories real quick to whatever you're eating. I've had a few people ask me how hard it's been to like eat on this diet. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like, yeah, it's difficult. But I saw someone talking the other day, I think it was yesterday actually, on Instagram, saying that, you know, anyone who's on prep who's constantly whining about prep, you know, saying, oh, once I get off this, I'm going to eat like a pig. Oh, once I get off this, I can't wait to eat this and this and this and this and this and this. You know, he made an interesting point, and I'm not even, I don't know. I don't like to usually say things like this because everyone's different and it's okay for you to express how you feel when something gets hard. But in general, I think that if you say things like that, bodybuilding, and I say this as a beginner, I'm really just repeating what he said, so don't take this as me being arrogant. He just said, you know, maybe bodybuilding's not for you then, because the structure is, you know, yeah, it's the most difficult part probably, but it's also the beauty of it. And it is kind of the whole point of what we're doing here. It's putting the human body through as much rigorous structure as possible to see what kind of results you can bring to the stage. So if you don't like the structure, well, that's kind of the whole point, right? And so if you only like the destination and you don't like the journey, then maybe the destination isn't for you. I don't know. I haven't thought that through all the way, but it did hit me. Because there have been a handful of times, obviously, I mean, like any normal human being on a diet like this would, that I've talked about the diet and been like, man, I'm not going to lie, I'm looking forward to being able to eat a slice of pizza. You know, just literally not even pig out. Just to eat a slice of pizza. Or like, you know, oh, the whole family, we're stopping by In-N-Out. Or we're stopping by Raising Cane's. You know, I can go ahead and eat a meal there. You know, I saw even Alex Eubank posted talking about diet percentages, and I thought it was great. Well, I may have overdone it with the pepper there. That came out quick. And he said that, and this is true, even my coaches talked about this, the 80-20 rule, you know, where it's like 80% of your diet should look completely and utterly just structured, prepped, planned out, whatnot. But that there is room for that 20%, you know, especially, and I'm not talking about in prep. In prep, it needs to be, you know, 99-1 or of course 100-0. But just in general in life, that 80-20 rule I think is valid. And we'll be back at this same pan here in a moment to cook up the egg whites for the custard. But let's go ahead and take care of these eggs real quick. Once I'm done with all this food, I'll also take you guys through my supplements. Because I have a short that I made about that, but I haven't really included that in any vlogs or anything. And I guess I technically do eat my supplements, right? I mean, you swallow pills, so I'll include that too. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really a big egg guy, but I do gotta hand it to them. They're very like satiating. The calorie to satiating ratio, like you need less calories of eggs, particularly egg whites, to fill you than most other foods. The only food that I think is more calorie dense, that is a regular part of my diet, I'm sure they even have that list, right? Of all the most like satiating foods or something. So I'm sure that there are more, but potatoes. Potatoes are the only other thing that I think are more satiating than eggs. But part of it is that I don't entirely enjoy eggs, and so in a very real way, like it sounds funny, but part of my appetite actually gets diminished just by eating eggs because I'm not a huge egg guy. So once my wife gets back with the fat-free milk, we will go ahead and put everything together that's necessary for the custard. As a matter of fact, the only things that we're going to be adding that are not already a part of the plan, that are not already a part of the breakfast, is the skim milk and the protein powder. But the protein powder, I have 2 different shakes that are always like mapped out throughout the day. And so what I'll do is, instead of that shake, which has both skim milk and protein powder, I'll just add that same amount to this and subtract it from that later. There are a few guys on Instagram, I know I talked about this in my vlog either yesterday or the day before, where it's like, if there's even the slightest change in how things happen in your plan, they're like, oh, he's not locked in, he's not. But it's like, bro, what matters is your calories and macros throughout the day, and then even more important, your calories and macros throughout the week. So what changes? You know, if one day I'm feeling extremely satiated and I know I have a bunch of extra activity tomorrow, maybe I'll eat 100 or 200 calories less today and save those for tomorrow. You know, have an extra shake, have an extra scoop of protein, have whatever. And the scale still moves, you still hold on to muscle, you know. Obviously you shouldn't make a habit of that, but things like that, it's like, you know, this isn't even me informing, this is stuff I have been informed of by my coach, by people who know, you know, what they're doing. And there's always going to be people who know what they're doing who disagree with what you're doing, because you know, everyone has a different road to success. Very few roads to success look the same. Look at different champion bodybuilders' chest routines. It's remarkable how different some of them are. I mean, look at what Arnold said. Didn't he say in that one interview, he was like, we would do 20 sets. I can't do an Arnold accent. We would do 20 sets of bench press, and that was it, right? And Arnold's got a legendary, like, his chest is one of the most legendary parts of his physique, right? It's the same thing I've talked about before, where, like, you know, everyone talks about, all the science-based lifters talk about how the study that showed that hammer curls were suboptimal. Well, champion bodybuilders have had hammer curls a part of their routine since the early days of bodybuilding. So, like, can you really argue with results? You can't. Now, I obviously do not have results yet. The only results that I have are a scale that is consistently going down and a physique that is, you know, maintaining what muscle it does have. But until I actually have a package that I am bringing to the stage, obviously I don't have those results yet. So I've been trying not to engage as much as I can with people who talk about food and who talk about whatever until I have a little bit more conclusive evidence that what I'm doing is working. But yeah, let's go ahead and make this custard. 170 grams egg whites, and I am out of my vanilla protein powder, which I would usually use. So today we are going to try some chocolate egg custard. And we're gonna see how that turns out. So that's 80 grams right there. Oh, can I get to 90? Yes, we can. All right, excellent. Now, if you haven't seen me do this before, this whole process makes absolutely no sense. You would never guess that this would taste good, but I am going to scramble these up here. We're going to add them to a blender, add a little bit of skim milk to the blender and a couple scoops of protein powder, blend it on up, put it in some Tupperware, and let it sit in the fridge for a few hours, and then we'll have some custard. Sounds disgusting. It's actually probably my favorite little treat to have while on prep. I haven't done it yet with just egg whites, so this is going to be interesting.
Sorry. So sorry.
You good? As I was saying, I haven't done this with just egg whites before, so we're going to see how it turns out. I'm sure it's going to be fine. Usually I do 1 or 2 eggs and then I supplement with a little bit more egg whites, but I'm thinking that actually just the egg whites on its own might even make it taste less eggy. We're going to see though. I nailed that consistency though. That is going to be some perfect custard later. It's time to cover that on up, put it in the fridge. I'm gonna smooth it out first. Put it in the fridge and we will eat that later. And see, the crazy thing is, look at the amount there. That is just egg whites, which are so calorically, like, they're microcalorie. 2 scoops of protein powder, and I have some extra low calorie protein powder. And then like not even 4 ounces of skim milk. All of that right there. Here's the macros and calories right here. I'm not going to do the math in my brain. I'll layer it over the screen. That's insane. That's crazy. We'll put that in the fridge. Now that I've got a little bit of food in my system, let's go ahead and knock out my supplements. Now there are 2 things that you're not going to see right this second because I take my L-glutamine later, and then I also take my creatine a little bit later as well, but we can go ahead and go through these. So I'm going to take all the pills at once, so I'm just going to introduce the pills to you, and then I'm going to just yank them all down at once. So we've got fish oil, probiotic. I think that aside from just general health, I probably have more supplements for gut health than anything else. Multivitamin, berberine, electrolytes, natural test gain, magnesium glycinate. A couple of these taste really nasty, but I care a lot more about my health and recovery than I do my taste buds. So let's just take all these down at once, shall we? Ooh, that's supplements. All right, it's about lunchtime. It's time for our first HummusFit meal. And I picked what looks to be the most complicated one with the most moving parts that I have to take out and everything, because one of the meals I'm gonna have to eat after MMA training later, and I want that to be simple. So this is the Stacked and Jacked. It is a burger that is low calorie, high protein. We're looking at 520 calories, 46 grams protein, 39 grams carbs, and 20 grams fat. This is the most caloric meal that I'll be eating all day. It's the biggest meal that I'll be eating all day. But I'm super excited to try this one. I have not tried this one before, so let's see how it is. Let's give this a try. See, that right there is the type of thing that will take care of like your fast food cravings, and I have a lot of those, so that's saying something. I'm gonna try the fries too. Could be a little firmer, but the flavor's good. Next HummusFit meal is going to be the General Tso's tacos. I actually ordered 2 of these. I had my first one yesterday and it was absolutely delicious. So I already know what I'm getting myself into here. But it is 350 calories, 32 grams protein, 29 grams carbs, 8 grams fat. So some fantastic macros on these. Man, that is good. That is just freaking incredible. The flavor is insane. It's very satiating, despite only being, what did it say, 350 calories? That is so crazy. And part of the nice thing is, right, if you've ever been on one of these diets, then you know that one of the things that goes on is that when you have a food that you crave, when you eat it, your brain releases some of these pleasure chemicals, right? It's not just that your body's hungry, it's that it desires the release of those chemicals. It's an addiction. And so one of the hard things about dieting is that sometimes, you'll eat your chicken and rice or your beef and potatoes, or whatever the dish is, you know, maybe some shrimp or some tilapia or something. And it's enough to fill you. It is. If you look, like, just mathematically speaking, right, this is enough to fill me. But it doesn't release those same pleasure chemicals in your brain. And so your brain says, no, I'm still hungry. And so the nice thing about things like this, why I love making use of HummusFit, is that so many of these meals are craveable. They have a craveability to them. So that when I eat that, even though that right there is not even remotely enough to fill me, right? I'm still physically hungry. There was enough enjoyment, enough, you know, pleasure chemicals as I was eating that I feel as though in some way a craving was a little bit fulfilled. And so it's very satiating. That was spectacular. Now, before we start getting ready for MMA training this evening, I think I'm gonna go ahead and eat that custard. Let's whip it out. Now, like I said, I've always made this with vanilla protein, so I've never tried it with chocolate, and I've also never tried it with just egg whites. It's always had the yolk in it too. So this is about to be interesting. This is a first. Let's see how it goes. So let's see the texture first. It's holding up really, really well. That texture is just right. I mean, it's set perfectly. Let's give it a try. Definitely better with the vanilla, but that's not bad. Measured out half a tablespoon of sugar-free chocolate syrup just to give it a little bit more of that sweet chocolate flavor for less than 5 calories of additional calories to this dish, and it changed the game. That's, if I'm doing chocolate from now on, I'm gonna add some of that sugar-free chocolate syrup. I'm actually feeling super full. I think I'm going to leave that for a post-dinner dessert and wrap it up later. Surprisingly flavorful. For literally just being like rice, non-fat cheese, meat, pickles, that's actually really flavorful. Whoa. Genuinely, I expected that to be one of the like more plain, less enjoyable HummusFit meals. That's in my top 3. That's up there with the stacked and jacked, the burger I had today, you know, the and the General Tso's tacos. That is insane. Oh wow, I needed that. Only about 150, 180 calories left for the day, so I am going to get my work done for the night, and then we are going to make a small shake out of some frozen strawberries, frozen bananas, and 1 scoop of protein, and that'll be it. Let's wrap this up. Quite frankly, I'm tired, so I am not going to do the calculation in my head. Here is the number of calories I ate today, number of grams of protein, grams carbs, grams fat. That's what it looks like when I rely on HummusFit for a day's eating. The next day of eating that I do will be strictly meal prepped. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you want to try these meals, go to HummusFit. I'll put a link in the bio. You can use code NATE. You'll get 10% off, and you'll be supporting me. This is the best meal prep stuff in the business. You simply can't beat it. They're Buffin Bakery. Don't get me started. Go give them a try. You won't regret it. Coming up on 7 weeks out. See you in training.